Alright, let's design some cabinets in the 3D Tiny House Designer. Cabinets are super important when you're designing your tiny house because most of the fixed furniture in your tiny house are cabinets and make up all of your storage space and actually will also make up most of your furniture. If you design a tiny house well, most of your tiny house interior will be cabinets and you will not have a lot of loose furniture, which means you will actually have to optimize your storage space quite a bit. So to get started, to show you how cabinets work, I will design a quick kitchen in this fairly empty tiny house. I will go into the cabinets menu here and you will see a bunch of different preset cabinets. So there are regular kitchen cabinets, cabinets with integrated appliances, freestanding appliances, tall cabinets, wall hung cabinets that would be lifted off above the countertop somewhere, floating shelves, presets for storage cabinets, and also bathroom cabinets like vanities and cabinets that are useful for bathroom design. So to get started, I'm just going to grab a tall cabinet and I will place it over here. So I'm going to grab a double door pantry, and as a quick reminder, all of the objects in the 3D Tiny House Designer are designed to industry standards. So for example, a 2x2 foot cabinet is very standard in the US, or in the European standards it would be 60 centimeters by 60 centimeters and then 90 centimeters tall for a regular cabinet. So whatever system you'll be using will be already preset to that standard, so you don't have to look up how big is a cabinet. And I will just move this cabinet here and I will put it over into the side. So what we'll see already is that my loft is slightly shorter than this cabinet over here, and this will get us into designing the basics of a cabinet. So what you'll see here, we'll have the width, depth and height of a cabinet, which you'll be used to from all of the other settings already, and I will just bring the height down to 6'8" here, for example. Actually, let's do 6'10" because then it lines up fully with a tiny house's loft. And then the next setting that we have is panel thickness. So what you'll see here in the graphic, it shows that it's the thickness of all of the carcasses. So the cabinets are actually fully 3D modeled. So at the moment you have the exterior plywood set to 3¼ plywood, and of course you can also change this to whatever size you want. But also keep in mind to keep this as thin as possible, to keep it as light as possible as well for your tiny house. Then we have the elevation setting, which I will not be using for this cabinet, but I'll use it in a second for another cabinet. Then you can go in and change the settings for your cabinet in depth to customize it to any kind of cabinet that you can think of. But the best workflow is that you start with presets that are already close to what you want, and then you make some minor changes rather than having to custom model every single cabinet from scratch. So following that advice, I will go ahead and start placing my cabinets. And I would like to start with a triple drawer cabinet, and I will place it next to my pantry over here. Then I will grab a regular sink cabinet. We also have a double sink cabinet, which is just a bit wider. And then we will grab, let's say, I would like to have a dishwasher, and I'll grab an integrated double dish drawer in this case, and I'll put it over here. And then after that, I would like to have a corner return. So you can actually place corner cabinets as well. So if we go into our regular cabinets, at the bottom you'll see these corner cabinets. So I'll grab this right corner cabinet here, which I can then rotate, and there we go. It will then perfectly fit next to my other cabinets. So I'll just use the dimension move tool to snap it. And now we have my corner return here, which is kind of like a kitchen island. And this gives me a good place to start modifying these into more detail in a second, but I will still place some overhead cabinets and some open shelves as well. So I'll place 2 overhead cabinets and then some open shelves next to it. So I'll go back and grab some wall hung cabinets here, and I will grab a left door cabinet over here like that. And just as a quick reminder, when you are working with overhead cabinets, the overhead cabinets are placed at the bottom, but they're just lifted up. So the dimensions are still picking up here at the bottom. So we'll just place that over here to the right, and we'll just copy that one more time, and we'll shift that over here. And one quick thing to do, we actually need to reduce the height of this. So we'll put this down to 2'4" like that, and we'll do that for this cabinet as well. That way we have the same height. But what if we actually want to have a shorter overhead cabinet? So let's say we want to lift this up even further. So we can maybe place a window behind here. So you can use the elevation setting in here. That's what I was talking about with being lifted up. So of course the cabinets that are standing on the ground don't have any elevation, but this one here is already preset to 4'6", but I would actually like to place this to 4'10", like this. And then I will reduce the height even further to just 2 feet, like that. And I will do the same thing here. So I'll click on this cabinet, lift it up to 4'10", like that. And then I will make this shorter to just 2 foot. There we go. And now we have the 2 cabinets, and now I want to place some open shelves, or floating shelves in this case, that's what we call them. And I'll just grab a floating shelf preset, there we go. And I will make this 4 foot wide, like this. And my distance here, let's see, is 4'10". This is 3 feet tall, so this needs to go 1'10" above the counter to be on the same height. There we go. And now if we move this over further, we'll move this over a little bit, and now we'll press 0. There we go, and now it lines up fully. So one thing to keep in mind when you're placing open shelves or floating shelves, there is no grid attached to them, so you can move it on a very fine grid, which will help you to make sure that it's placed in the exact right spot. But in this case, I would also recommend using the dimension move tool to put it into the right spot as well, because getting it right by just free moving it will be a little bit more tricky. But there we go. So now we have got our first open shelf, and then I will copy this over and I'll move it up, and then I will go in and press 0 on this one, and I will just have a gap of 1'6", like that. Oop. 1 foot maybe. Okay, I think it's taking it from here, so we'll go in 1 foot. There we go, that's the one. So we'll just move this over here and then press 0 again. There we go, and now we have a cool little open shelf setup here. Maybe we'll even reduce it to 10 inches or something like that. There we go. Maybe we'll even copy this over and add another one on top, and this one maybe should only be 9 inches, like this. And then this gap here will be 9 inches. And then we have no gap in between, and then we have this quite cool open shelf setup next to it. Perfect. So now we have quite a nice kitchen setup, but it's still quite basic. We can still go into much more detail, and this is where we'll show you all of the different cabinet settings that you will run into. So first of all, when I click on this cabinet here, you will see that we have a cabinet type setting. And when you place a cabinet, you start with a preset, but you can actually change it into whatever cabinet you like. So you can change it back to a standard cabinet here, for example, like that. So that gets rid of the sink, or you can change it over to a sink cabinet again. You can turn it into a corner cabinet, or you can even turn it into a cabinet that has a cooktop, or it's got an inside vanity. So whatever you start with, you're not really stuck with, you can interchange it however you like. So this will keep your workflow quite open-ended. So that's how the cabinet type works. And then the next thing that I will go into are the countertop settings. So the countertop settings allow you to change the thickness of the countertop, but also change the overhang of the countertop. In this case here, I would actually like to add a little breakfast bar to the end of here, and I would like to add it this way. So at the moment, we have my cabinet facing this way. So this here, this distance will be the back of it. So into the back, I will add an overhang of, let's do 9 inches. There we go. Or maybe that's not enough. Maybe we'll even do an entire foot like that. So now we've got a little overhang, and we can place some furniture here. So we'll maybe go into a lounge. Let's see, I know there's some bar stools somewhere. Yep, there we go. Here's some backless bar stools. And now we have a little overhang here on the side. Fantastic. So now we can even go in and add an end panel to this as well. So the thing with cabinets is usually you place one cabinet after the other, but the last cabinet in the row should usually have an end panel. So this would hide that it has this toki here, so this will make the finish a little bit nicer. And to add an end panel, you can go into the end panel settings here, and in this case we want to add an end panel to the left, so we'll just click a yes on that, and it adds an end panel in as well. So now we have a nicer face of the cabinet here. So that's how the end panels work. One quick thing to just go back to the countertops, you can actually change the thickness of the countertop as well, or you can fully disable it as well. So this cabinet here, for example, doesn't have a countertop because the countertop is disabled. So let's move on. You can actually also change the size of the toe kick. At the moment it's preset to 4 inches by 4 inches, but if you want to change it to a different size, you can just type in the size of the toe kick in here, or you can fully get rid of the toe kick as well, which is also helpful for objects like overhang cabinets because they would not usually have a toe kick. Then for specific cabinets like corner cabinets or sink cabinets, you have additional settings pop up that I don't need to go into. They're reasonably self-explanatory, but for the corner cabinet, you can then set the depth and width of the corner return, the overhang of that corner return of the countertop, and then the toe kick of that corner return as well. And then for the sink, you can change the sink size, and you can also change the oven or cooktop size if you have a cooktop cabinet. But they will pop up here on the right once you use them. So the one last thing, which is the most powerful of cabinets, is you can actually change all of the segments of the cabinet. And one good example that we can use here is this, let's use this sink cabinet here. So rather than having a double door setup like this, I would like to have a fixed panel at the top that is maybe 6-9 inches tall, something like that. And then below that, I would like to have 2 drawers. So we can do that and turn this double door cabinet into that kind of setup as well. At the moment, we have a 1 segment, but we can change how many segments this cabinet has. So I will change this to 3 segments, which is what I want for my specific setup. But I can also change the exact height of each segment as well. So the top segment should be, let's say, 6 inches like this, which accounts for the depth of the tap, or the sink in this case. And instead of having a double door setup, I would like to have a fixed panel setup instead. So there's no handle here anymore. And these two here, rather than being a fixed panel, a left hang panel here, first of all, this one here should be an entire foot tall. And then this should also be a drawer cabinet. And the handle should be in the top middle like this. And then the same thing with this one here, we will change it into a drawer cabinet, and the handle will also be in the top middle like that. So now we could change the design of the cabinet fully and change it from a double door cabinet into a cabinet with 3 segments. So this tool is incredibly powerful, and it will allow you to design any kind of cabinet that you can think of. One thing to think about at the moment, this is still called a sink cabinet because that's what the preset was. But we might want to call it something different once you've changed it. Of course, in this case, we still have a sink cabinet in this case, so we'll just leave it here. This will be important when you're exporting plans because the tags will show this name, and also the takeoff will also show the names over here. So you want to make sure that whatever you've designed now has a proper name that corresponds to that. Alright, that is how the cabinet settings work. One last and very important thing is you can actually create cabinetry plans based on the cabinets that you have just designed. So to do that, you can go ahead and click on this cabinet here, for example, and you would click the show on plan setting. And then you need to give this cabinet a group number. In this case, this will be group 1. And then all of the other cabinets that belong together with this cabinet should also be in group 1. So that means when you look on your cabinets in the cabinetry plan, this entire group of cabinets will be exported together, meaning it's the entire kitchen unit as one piece, which makes sense when you are trying to get it built by a cabinet maker, or even if you're building it yourself. So I'm just quickly adding all of these groups over here, and then let's see, can we add this one here? Yeah, we can add this one here as well. Fantastic. Click on this open shelf, group 1, group 1, group 1. So of course, if you had other cabinets, so let's say if you had a vanity cabinet in the bathroom or something like that, you would of course add the cabinets to that as well. So I'm just going to leave it at that, and then I will quickly save my design here just to make sure that I can save my progress, and then I will generate my plans, and I will go into generating the plans later on as well, and going through every single plan as well, but I'll just disable all of the plans to show you how the cabinetry plans look like. There we go. I'll just quickly generate this plan set over here. And then let's have a look. So what we'll see over here is now the cabinetry plan of the cabinets that I have just designed. We see an axonometric as well as a plan. Of course, this is white and white, so it's a little bit harder to see. And then we've got the elevations here showing exactly where all of the open shelves are, where the cabinets are, the cabinet carcasses and all that kind of fun stuff. So that will make it easy for you to build off as well. And then of course the takeoff will also show these cabinets as well, so you can price them.